Hey Redeemer, I'm here to tell you a little bit about two opportunities coming up in the next weeks for connection and community. The first is discipleship groups. We've talked about these over the last year and have had a couple launches of those groups. And if they've gone really well. I know a lot of the people who've been in one of them have shared with me that it has been a huge blessing to them. They've grown a lot. So just quickly to recap that, if you're not familiar with those, they're groups of 3 to 4 people and they're single gender. And there's an intentional commitment for a year to be a group together for a full year. And you meet about 90 minutes per week in someone's house, maybe a coffee shop. We could find you space at the church if need be, but ideally in a place where you normally do life, so your house. And you follow one of 2 different curricula. There's growing into Jesus life and then practicing the way. I won't rehash all of that, of what those curricula are here. We can read about that on the webpage. But both of them have the purpose or the intention of helping folks disciple to Jesus, or apprentice to Jesus, as John Mark Comer likes to say, through the practice of rule of life. And a rule of life is just a way to create regular rhythms for encountering the Lord and for discipling yourself to Jesus. So it looks like spiritual practices and setting intentional rhythms throughout your day and these kinds of things. And the whole point is that in these groups, you are helping each other be accountable to the rule of life that you've set. You're studying the scriptures together, and you're thinking through the questions, theological questions related to growth into the life that Jesus offers us in Him. So really great opportunity, more intentional, more time intensive. This other opportunity is a new offering that we have at Redeemer. We're calling them Connections Groups, and we're piloting this idea. It'll be 6 weeks, and so they'll start at the end of April and go through the first week of June. They will be during our normal Connections time slot, so 6 to 8 on Wednesdays, and there'll be groups of 6 to 8 people, mixed gender, and they're pretty loosely structured. So the groups will gather for just fellowship in some ways, share your high, low of the day, that kind of thing, but it'll also be set apart for sermon discussion, from the sermon from that past Sunday, and whatever great biblical and theological conversations come up in that. And then it's also time for prayer. They'll dedicate some time for prayer at the end of the night together. We will have a youth offering of these same kind of connections groups. The idea is that you come for the full 6 weeks to get to know the people in your group well, but we do not want that to be a barrier to entry. So if you can only make it to 2 or 3 of the weeks in that 6-week time span, please come anyway. We will find a place to connect you and put you in to a group of people. The idea is that we're just offering another touch point for a church family to get together, because we know our winter connections is ending here next week, and then we don't have really a communal gathering time up until summer connection starts in June, not January. And so we encourage you to come and be with your brothers and sisters in Christ and enjoy times of fellowship and rich discussion and prayer. And we just hope and pray that is an encouragement to you who take part in that. I just want to emphasize that this is something that we're piloting and thinking could potentially become a more regular part of our connections ministry. And so we will ask those of you who participate in connections groups for feedback, so we can think through ways that might become part of our broader ministry here at Redeemer. So just briefly recap, discipleship groups, 3 to 4 people per group. It's a year-long commitment, and you meet for about 90 minutes per week, and you're following a specific curriculum related to discipleship through a rule of life. And then connections groups, just for 6 weeks. It's at church, and it's groups of 6 to 8 people, mixed gender, loosely structured fellowship, sermon discussion, prayer, and then after the 6 weeks, it's done. So those are the things that we have to share with you, and we hope and pray that you will ask the Lord if He's calling you into one of these 2 opportunities, and if so, that they would be a rich blessing to you and encouragement to you in this season. Love you all, love this church, and blessings on your week.